And last day of the FIAT IFTA 2013 World Conference. Thank you. Thank you. I hope everybody enjoyed the boat trip yesterday. Did you enjoy it? Excellent. Looks like a wonderful trip then. Sorry I missed it, but I hope that everybody has enjoyed it. That's excellent. The last day we have also a lot of presentations and panels, quite interesting for you. And we also have a lot of gifts to give out as well. And Dorothy tells me that she left the best gifts for the last day. So please make sure you are all here after the coffee breaks and the lunch break for the gifts. They will be distributed after each break. I understand that somebody has left a...
that's mine.
Oh, this is yours. Sorry, so it's not lost. I was going to raffle that. Anyway, let's get started. The first session of this morning is a panel, and the panel will be presented by Mr. Tahir Baraki. I'll leave Tahir to present the two panelists, but the panel will be a mixture of languages, so there will be Arabic and English. So for the simultaneous translation, please be prepared for that. Tahir?
يلا يجيبوا الهيدسيتس احسن. جاهزين؟ أهلا بالحضور الكريم. أنا طاهر بركي أحييكم من قناة العربية. سأرافقكم في هذه الجلسة. قد تجدون على بعض الأوراق الموزعة أمامكم سابقا أن مديرة الجلسة هي زميلة ميسون عزام، اضطرت للتغيب بسبب ظرف عائلي طارئ وهي تنقل اعتذارها إليكم. يسعدني أن أنوب عنها في هذه المهمة اليوم، آملا أن أقدم ولو إضافة بسيطة من خلال خبرتي العملية في العربية. لأن ماضينا هو حاضرنا ومستقبلنا، وجب علينا الحفاظ عليه مصورا موثقا محميا. إذا كان قد ضاع منا في الماضي الكثير من العمل الأرشيفي، خصوصا في العمل التلفزيوني العربي، إن كان بسبب الحروب أو نقص التكنولوجيا أو الأموال أو المعرفة حتى أو الإرادة، يتحتم علينا اليوم عدم تضييع الفرص. هذه الفرص القائمة بهذا الكم الكبير من الأحداث التاريخية من وجهة نظر العالم أجمع، خصوصا التي يمر بها العالم العربي، تتراكم يوما بعد يوم، ومن الصعب أصلا أن نلحق بها حتى في العمل الأرشيفي، ولذلك يتطلب من الأمر عملا دؤوبا أكثر. الأمر لا يتعلق بمجرد صورة، بمجرد فيديو، إنه تراث بالمعنى الكامل للكلمة. يجب أن نعلم أنه وخصوصا في العالم العربي نحن أمام ثروة هائلة من التاريخ الذي يصنع يوميا، خصوصا في السنوات التي تلت الثورات العربية في 2011. هذه الثروة التي يجب أن تؤرشف، أن يحفظ كما يحفظ التراث في المتاحف. هذا ليس خيارا، إنه ليس من الخيارات التي أمامنا أن نفعل ذلك أو لا نفعل، إنه التزام حقيقي علينا لمصلحتنا ومصلحة الأجيال القادمة، لأنها ستشكر كل من سبقها في هذا العمل على أرشفة كل ما يحدث في عالمنا. هذا تجديد للدعوة باسمي وباسم العربية وباسم الزملاء المشاركين معي في الجلسة، أن يكون الجميع دائما أمام مسؤولياته، خصوصا في التلفزيونات العربية، خصوصا في القطاعات الحكومية، بما أن على ما يبدو أن القطاعات الخاصة باتت متطورة أكثر في هذا المجال. وهنا يمكن في هذه الجلسة أيضا أن نعمل على هذا التفريق بين القطاعين العام والخاص. سيشاركني في هذه الجلسة الزميلان حسن زيتوني كبير مراسلي قناة MBC المجموعة الأم لقناة العربية، خصوصا المراسلة من أماكن الحروب، وسيحدثنا عن تجربته، وسلطان بتاوي مدير وحدة التواصل الاجتماعي في قناة العربية. أهلا بكما. اسمحا لي وأيضا الحضور الكريم اسمحوا لي أن أبدأ فقط بتسجيل بعض الملاحظات المتعلقة بعملي أنا قبل أن يبدأ الزميلان. أنا أقدم برنامج يومي على قناة العربية إخباري اسمه آخر ساعة، وأقدم برنامج أسبوعي أيضا اسمه الذاكرة السياسية. والذاكرة السياسية هو صلب ما نناقشه اليوم وما يجب أن يناقشه أي مؤتمر متعلق بالأرشفة التلفزيونية، أو خصوصا عندما يكون يعني أي اتحاد دولي أو جمعية مهتمة بهذا الموضوع حاضرا في هكذا مؤتمرات. في الذاكرة السياسية نعاني كثيرا يوميا وأسبوعيا من شح الصور، من شح الفيديوهات التي تؤرخ لأحداث مر فيها العالم العربي في الستينات، في السبعينات، في الثمانينات، في التسعينات، حتى نواجه بعض الصعوبات أحيانا بالحصول على الصور والفيديوهات. نكون غاضبين جدا عندما لا نجد الصورة، وهذا هو الأرشيف التلفزيوني الذي نتحدث عنه بالنسبة إلى برنامجنا. نكون سعداء جدا عندما نجد الصورة، عندما نجد ما يوثق ما يتحدث عنه الضيف وما أتحدث عنه أنا وما أسأل عنه، لأنه يكون من الأسهل والأسلس على المشاهد أن يتقبل ما يتم الحديث عنه عندما نرافق ما نتحدث عنه بصورة وبفيديو. كل اللحظات التاريخية التي مرت، يعني معظمها الأساسية التي نتحدث عنها في الذاكرة السياسية، لا نجد لها صورا أو فيديوهات تؤرخها وتوثقها. نجد صورا فيما بعد عندما كبر الحاكم الذي عاش 40 سنة في نظام ما أو 30 سنة، أو لا نجد له صورا مثلا أو فيديوهات عندما قام بانقلاب ما، عندما حصلت ثورة معينة، عندما حصلت معركة معينة. هذا يؤلمنا كثيرا لأنه يقلل كثيرا مما نفعل، لا يدعنا نقدم ما نريد بالشكل الأقرب إلى المشاهد. تجربة أخرى وأخيرة سأشارككم بها في برنامج اليومي الآن، وهو آخر ساعة، برنامج إخباري يومي. كنت أتحدث منذ بضعة أيام مع أحد ضيوفي من إحدى الدول العربية عن قمع الأمن في هذه الدولة العربية لمتظاهرين يحتاجون هناك. عرضنا صورا أرشيفية لقمع الأمن لهؤلاء المحتاجين. هو نفس الأمن، نفس المحتاجين، نفس الحدث، نفس البلد، ولكن تاريخ مختلف. كانت الفكرة متعلقة بأيام مضت أو شهور خلت، ولكن ليس في نفس اليوم. اعترض بذلك على شدة على الهواء مباشرة، وقال أنا يعني لا يمكنني أن أتحدث بالموضوع وأنتم تعرضون صورا وكأنها يلمح إلى أنها مفبركة أو إلى أنها لا تعكس الحدث القائم حاليا. فكان موقفي قويا لأنني استندت إلى الصور الأرشيفية، لأنه لم يكن باستطاعته أن يكذب ما حصل، أن يكذب قمع الأمن للمتظاهرين عندما عرضنا عليه هذه الصور مرارا وتكرارا، وقلنا له هذا هو نفس البلد، هذا هو هؤلاء نفس المحتجين، هذه هي الصور التي لا تسقط بالتقادم. كنت ألمح طبعا إلى أن بعض المحاسبة عن الأفعال الجرمية في بعض الدول قد تسقط بالتقادم إذا أرادت الدولة ذلك، ولكن الصور الأرشيفية لا تسقط بالتقادم. هذه أهمية الصور الأرشيفية التي تجعل حتى أنا في عملي كمذيع أو كمراسل تجعل موقفي قويا أمام أي ضيف أستضيفه في العالم، لأنه قد يستطيع أن ينكر كلاما موجها من أحد الأطراف، أي طرف، أي مسؤول سياسي، ولكنه لا يمكنه على الإطلاق أن ينكر أي صورة أو أي فيديو يقدم أمامه ويدعه بدون أدنى شك واثقا أن ما نقوله هو الصحيح، ويدع المشاهد، وهذا أول ما نريده، يثق بأن ما نقدمه هو الصحيح على الشاشة. سنبدأ الآن بالعرض الذي سيقدمه الزميل حسن زيتوني كبير مراسلي قناة MBC. سيتحدث عن خبرته في تغطية بعض الأماكن النائية، بعض الأحداث في بلدان نائية، بعض الحروب التي قام بتغطيتها، الصعوبات التي كانت تواجهه، المشاكل في الحصول على الصور، خصوصا عندما يكون في بلد نائن، عندما يكون في مكان تشتعل فيه حرب أو معركة. سيحاول أن يشرح لنا كيف يتخطى هذه المشاكل وكيف تساعده ربما المحطة الأم أيضا في تخطي هذه المشاكل والحلول التي يقترحها من أجل مستقبل أفضل في الأرشيف التلفزيوني. تفضل حسن.
Good morning. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to participate in this conference and to speak. Since we met in London last year, MBC, despite all the events that are taking place and shaping our region, the Arab world, MBC kept its reputation by looking at other issues that have indirect or direct impacts on our lives. And last year, 2 assignments were approved by MBC. I would like to allow you to watch 2 reports from 2 different places that we were last year, and then I'll speak a little bit about the importance of archive material.
استفتاء مصيري لسكان جزر الفولكلاند لتأكيد هويتهم البريطانية فوق جزر تعتبر تاريخيا أراضي أرجنتينية. الناخبون جاءوا وهم يحملون الأعلام البريطانية ويرتدون الزي البريطاني استفتاء مصيري لسكان جزر الفولكلاند لتأكيد هويتهم البريطانية فوق جزر تعتبر تاريخيا أراضي أرجنتينية. الناخبون جاءوا وهم يحملون الأعلام البريطانية ويرتدون الزي البريطاني الوطني في رسالة واضحة للأرجنتين وللعالم الخارجي. حتى المناطق النائية حيث يقطن عدد كبير من سكان الفولكلاند مطالبون بالمشاركة في هذا الاستفتاء التاريخي. السؤال المطروح على ورقة الاستفتاء هو: هل ترغب في أن تحافظ جزر الفولكلاند على وضعها السياسي الحالي كجزر أو كأراضٍ خارجية تابعة للمملكة البريطانية المتحدة؟ بعض المحللين والمراقبين يتحفظون من هذا السؤال.
Sorry about the
نشير إلى أن هذا الاستفتاء لا يحظى بتزكية الأمم المتحدة، بل هو مبادرة من سكان الجزر وبتأييد بريطاني، وهذا ما يجعل الخلاف الأرجنتيني البريطاني حول السيادة على جزر الفولكلاند أو المالفينس مفتوحا للجدل. حسن زيتوني، MBC من ستانلي، عاصمة جزر الفولكلاند. من يملك الحق في استخدام مياه البحر الأبيض المتوسط في هذه الرقعة الجغرافية التي تتقاسمها إسبانيا وسكان مضيق جبل طارق التابع للسيادة البريطانية؟ هذا السؤال هو لب الخلاف القائم حاليا بين بريطانيا وإسبانيا. هذه هي المياه الإقليمية التي نشب حولها الخلاف الإسباني البريطاني. الصيادون الإسبان يريدون استخدام هذه المياه من أجل الصيد، ولكن السلطات البريطانية وسلطات جبل طارق بالأخص تمنعهم من ذلك باعتبار أن هذه مياه إقليمية تابعة لمضيق جبل طارق وليست لإسبانيا، وهنا يكمن الخلاف الحقيقي. الصيد هنا يشكل مصدر رزق لكثير من الصيادين الإسبان، وهم يصرون على حقهم في استخدام هذه المياه والصيد فيها. سكان جبل طارق من جهتهم لا يعتقدون ذلك ويقولون إن استخدام الصيد ما هو إلا ذريعة لا غير.
I don't think it's got anything to do with fishing at all. It's just a long ongoing dispute between Gibraltar and Spain, between Britain and Spain, over the Rock of Gibraltar. And they're obviously never going to solve it. It needs to be done by the EU.
وهذه المياه بالنسبة لسكان جبل طارق مهمة لأنها تستخدم لأغراض السياحة. السياح يشاهدون الدلافين ومخلوقات بحرية أخرى، إذن السياحة تعد مصدر دخل للسكان وحياتهم. الخلاف حول المياه انتقل إلى نقطة الحدود بين جبل طارق وإسبانيا، حيث تعقدت إجراءات الدخول والخروج للجميع بما فيهم السياح.
I am from Sweden. Yes.
You came as tourist.
Yes.
Do you like this?
No. Absolutely no.
Who do you blame, the Spanish or the British?
The Spanish problem.
Spanish problem.
Yes.
I'm Italian.
Are you concerned about this problem?
I think the same as him. The problem is, in this case, is Spain. Is the control of Spain. I'm Italian and Swedish.
You're not happy?
¿Happy? ¿Tú me ves cara de happy?
نشير إلى أن مضيق جبل طارق يعد موقعا استراتيجيا بالنسبة لبريطانيا كقوة بحرية عالمية، وله مكانة تاريخية كبيرة عند العرب والمسلمين. مساهمات الدول العربية مثل المملكة العربية السعودية ماثلة من خلال هذا المسجد، مسجد الملك فهد بن عبد العزيز، الذي دشن قبل 20 عاما لتقام فيه الصلوات وتعلم فيه اللغة العربية والقرآن الكريم. وإلى جانب ذلك فهو يعد منبرا سياحيا هاما في صخرة جبل طارق. ومهما كان الخلاف القائم بين إسبانيا وبريطانيا فالمضيق بحاجة إلى الحفاظ على استقراره واستقرار سكانه، وهو يعد نموذجا رائعا فعلا للتعايش بين مختلف الأديان والعرقيات والجنسيات كما لمسنا هنا. حسن زيتوني MBC من جبل طارق.
Okay. I'll stop. As you may have noted, these are two different locations which no bear great deal to the Arab world, apart from Gibraltar with its we have a strong historical connection with this particular area or this particular part of the world as Muslims. And the Falklands, it's very, very far from the Arab world. However, MBC always tend to cover this kind of events because we look at the world through an Arab eye, not just the events that are taking part in the Arab world. And what we have noted, personally, the main problem that I faced when I went to these two particular locations is the lack of archive material to explain or to give to our viewers a clear picture, to give them a historical perspective based on archive material. And that's why I take this opportunity to urge that we need to look at the importance of archive material when it comes to this kind of very far places, but they have a historical importance. In Gibraltar, for instance, I would have liked to have some footage in any shape or form, whether it's still pictures, a painting, or even a movie that would have been made on the first, for example, Muslims forces when they came to the Rock and entered from North Africa to Europe. If we had those footage, we would have at least given the television some kind of a picture perspective to this event. The lack of this kind of footage has made me or urged me to talk about this and raise this matter. We need to find and to archive whatever footage we have on this, because we never know when we need to cover an event like this. The British went to war in 1982 in order to maintain the British sovereignty over the Falkland Islands. Our library managed to find me some footage which belongs to Reuters, but that was the only material available. However, when I wanted to talk about who discovered the islands, how the British came to control them, were they ever under Argentinian control or not, all this was just written words on internet, but there is no footage to match this historical information. And that's why I decided to highlight these two issues, because they constitute an important historic, because when we talk about Gibraltar, for instance, we are talking about 8-9 centuries back, so there is no archive, but maybe we need to consider these particular events in different parts of the world and find the archive. So there is a responsibility there. It's the TV stations and as well as the providers of different archive systems to bring us this footage, which costs a lot of money, but it is vital and necessary if we need to produce good TV reportings, if we need to produce good TV documentaries, especially to viewers who don't have any idea about these particular places and they wish to know and understand and comprehend the different angles of this conflict or this one. I just want to point out another point. We don't need to rush into buying this system or this system to archive this material. The technology is moving very, very fast, and we need to consider all the options available, and we don't need to buy one system now in order to change it after 3 years or 4 years down the road. We need to look at long term and buy the archive material, by the system that will protect this archive material for a long term. These are the issues that I want to talk about. Tahar mentioned the issue of covering the war. As far as the war is concerned, we have covered different wars in different parts of the world. Covering an event like a war in Libya or in Chechnya is not a difficult task, because you are there with your camera, you are gathering the footage, and you are covering the event as such. But if you are trying to refer to an historical conflict and trying to go back in order to explain to the viewer what he needs, you need the archive material. And that's a very important issue. Thank you for listening to me.
شكرا للزميل حسن. أرجو أن تبقى هناك بعض الأسئلة لنلخص الموضوع، ويمكن أيضا للحضور الكريم أن يوجه أي سؤال للزميل حسن ليطلعنا على تجربته أكثر. لنلخص الموضوع من خلال المشاكل والحلول التي تواجهك حسن في أي موقع تكون فيه. المشكلة هي عدم القدرة على الحصول على المواد الأرشيفية التي تريد، على الصور والفيديوهات التي توثق لحظات تاريخية معينة تريد أن تشير إليها في تقاريرك. هل هناك من حلول؟ الآن طبعا تلجأ إلى بعض الحلول المؤقتة التي قد تسهم في إعداد تقرير ما سيؤرخ مساء يجب أن تسلمه في الوقت المحدد وإلى ما هنالك، ولكن على المدى المستقبلي الطويل، ونحن في مؤتمر من المفترض أن يبحث الكثير من الحلول لأبرز المشاكل القائمة، هل يجب أن ينظر في حل ما أو في عدة حلول أو إجراءات تتبع لكي تخفف عنك، لكي تساعدك أكثر في مكان عملك، في مكان بعيد أو مكان حرب؟
مطالبون
أريد أن أجاوب باللغة العربية
التاريخي.
نعم. قبل
السؤال المطروح على ورقة الاستفتاء هو: هل ترغب في أن تحافظ جزر الفولكلاند على وضعها السياسي الحالي كجزر أو كأراضي خارجية تابعة للمملكة البريطانية المتحدة؟ بعض المحللين والمراقبين يتحفظون من هذا السؤال،
ليس فقط عن معلومات يعني عن الموضوع، وإنما كذلك ما هو متوفر لديه من صور، في صورة ما إذا ذهب إلى هذه المنطقة ليشرح أبعاد هذا الصراع. فهذا
إلى أن
عامل
هذا
ضروري
الاستفتاء لا
جدا
يحظى
على المراسل
بتزكية
أن
الأمم
يراعيه
المتحدة،
قبل
بل هو
أن
مبادرة من سكان
يقرر
الجزر
السفر.
وبتأييد بريطاني، وهذا ما يجعل
مكتبتنا
الخلاف الأرجنتيني
والحمد لله MBC يعني
البريطاني
لديها
حول
خبرة الآن
السيادة على
تقريبا
جزر الفولكلاند أو
22
المالديفز
سنة،
مفتوحا للجدل.
فاستطاعت أن
حسن زيتوني
تؤرشف
NBC
كثير من
ستانلي،
المواد.
عاصمة
فكثير من
جزر
البقاع
الفولكلاند.
الجغرافية في العالم وبؤر التوتر هناك نوع من الأرشيف متوفر لدينا، لكنه ليس كافي عندما يتعلق الأمر بشرح أو إعطاء خلفية تاريخية بعيدة المدى عن هذه المنطقة. فمثلا جبل طارق، نحن نتكلم عن وجود إسلامي هناك، يعني دخول الإسلام هناك قبل 8-9 قرون، فهذه فترة تاريخية لا يوجد أي شيء. لكن قد يتشجع بعض المخرجين السينمائيين العرب وغير العرب لإعطائنا فيلم عن مثلا عن طارق بن زياد. فأنا كمراسل أريد أن أشرح أبعاد هذا الصراع وهذه النقطة بالذات، أستطيع أن أستخدم
صور سينمائية
الفيلم، أستطيع أن أستخدم الفيلم لشرح الفكرة. ليس
وهناك إذا سمحت لي هناك أيضا بعض المواد التي تكون تكون متواجدة، ولكن بعض المحطات لا تملكها. لا. مثلا العربية قد تملك بعض الصور، محطة أخرى لا تملكها، وإلى ما هنالك. على صعيد الشراكة بين التلفزيونات، لنتحدث هنا عن التلفزيونات تحديدا، وعلى صعيد أيضا صرف الأموال للحصول على وثائق أو عفوا على صور وفيديوهات مهمة جدا من ربما تلفزيونات وطنية.
صح، نعم، لابد من إقامة علاقات وطيدة مع هذه التلفزيونات المحلية، رغم أن ننظر إليها نظرة سلبية أنها تلفزيونات حكومية وتسيطر عليها دوائر حكومية معينة. لا، التلفزيونات الوطنية العربية لديها رصيد وأرشيف ضخم، ولا بد منا كقناة عربية وMBC أن نقيم علاقات ونبرم اتفاقيات معهم لتبادل الصور وتبادل ما لديهم من أرشيف. وأنت ذكرت الصعوبات التي تواجهك في برنامجك مثلا، فبتوجهك إلى مثلا اليمن للحديث إلى الرئيس اليمني، يفضل أن تكون لك علاقة مع مدراء تلفزيون هناك ليوفروا لك.
صحيح.
فحبذا لو يكون هناك اتفاق يعني بيننا وبين هذه التلفزيونات الوطنية. الأرشيف غالي ليس بسيط، لأنه طبعا. عندما أتوجه إلى وكالة زي رويترز وأقول أريد أرشيف عن مثلا الثورة الجزائرية، السؤال كم ثانية تريد، ليس كم دقيقة أو كم ساعة.
وأنت تتحدث عن عقود يعني
كم ثانية تريد من الصور. فالحساب هنا بالثواني، قيمة الصورة بالثانية.
صحيح.
وليست بالدقيقة أو بالساعة،
لأنها صور شحيحة يعني.
نعم.
غير متوافرة بكثرة.
وغالية، ولهذا إبرام الاتفاقيات في اعتقادي مهم جدا.
أشكرك جزيلا. لا أدري إذا كان هناك أي سؤال أي أحد يريد أن يوجهه إلى الزميل حسن زيتوني أو لاحقا إلى الزميل سلطان بتاوي. سنتابع في إبراز ما لدينا عبر الزميل سلطان، ومن ثم نفتح المجال للأسئلة إذا كان أي أحد يريد أن يسأل أو أن يوجه أي سؤال. شكرا جزيلا لك للآن الزميل حسن. سلطان بتاوي تفضل. هو أذكر مدير وحدة التواصل الاجتماعي، قسم التواصل الاجتماعي في قناة العربية، وهو سيتحدث عن الموضوع الذي نحن بصدده، الأرشيف التلفزيوني، ولكن من واقع خبرته هو في التعامل مع مواقع التواصل الاجتماعي. هو مهتم بكل ما يتعلق بالفيسبوك، تويتر، يوتيوب وغيرها الكثير. طبعا سلطان تفضل، الكلمة لك.
شكرا طاهر. Good morning, everyone. My name is Sultan Batawi. I'm heading the social media unit in Al Arabiya News Channel. Today, I'm going to speak about something that, if we consider, for example, the archive, and we consider our life and how we are telling the story. For example, when we say keeping the past recent, if you look at it, it seems as if it's a sequence of events or sequence of frames that it's continuously generating one film or one big story. So to me, if I'm going to consider us telling the story, I see the archive as a material that everything that we do is based on it. Can we double check the colors? It's not that clear. Okay, so every told story that we are dealing with on a daily basis, it's based on archive material. To me, whenever I said archive material, it's based on a different medium. So for example, if I saw an event, this is a medium which is my eyes. I saw this event. When I try to pass it to someone else, I'm going to archive it in my mind, and then I'm going to tell him the story. So I archive it at the beginning through my eye, and then I deliver it through my mouth. And he heard it through his ears. And then as the story goes on, when someone else is passing this story, he will tell it the way that he listened it in a different way. So basically, it's kind of like a telling a story thing. Some of those material, we're going to use it for a short time. Some of it will going to be used for a longer time. And some of it will be used, and the rest will be kept to be used later. So if someone is telling you a story, then he will add some extra flavor to it to make it more spicy and to get everyone get excited. Now, in terms of news reporting and journalism, we know that as news industry, we usually, and reporting, we use such kind of different tools, which is cameras, and sometimes we keep it in a tape or in a roll or in a VHS hard disk or a newspaper. These are all our tools that we're using to keep the story. But when we say news reporting, because I'm in social media, so I'm going to use the definition from a platform in social media, which is Wikipedia. So the news is a communication of selected information on a current events, which is presented by a print or broadcast or internet. So basically, it's kind of like you're not telling everything about this place. You're telling the story about this particular event with a particular information, with a particular time to give them what happened. But if we look at journalism, as Robert Neal said, which is an activist, or we can say a citizen journalism, he said journalism is telling people about things that really happened, but they might not have known about it already, or they know about it already. So it's like more about insights, more about details, more about in-depth things about this story. This is what's journalism about. It's like giving people more about the information, while the news report, it's something that it's based on time, so it has to be short and very informative. Let's give an example. This is how we know the TV. So we only see, for example, Tahir in a different way. He's presenting a story. So basically, when the event happened, we can see here the cameraman, and Tahir is standing here, and then there is an event behind him. Now, that's the only thing that the camera can kept in the frame. But what about this lady and the fancy car here? What about those beautiful buildings? Basically, when we shoot in the report, some of those footage might be used, some of them will be kept. Now, as Hacene said, sometimes when I have extra footage for a place that I'm in for the first time, or maybe second or third time, I can keep those archived material for someone else to use it later on, which can be like something that grows the library that I have, and then so many people can get the benefit out of it. Maybe I took it for a fun, but maybe later on the company will use it to make use it and make benefit out of it. Now, in our case, some of those extra events, sometimes stuff happened, so you need to keep it. In our case, to make use of it, the only place to keep those things is through the website. So after the story happened and the extra things that goes on the around the story, we can keep it and archive it in a story on the website. So it becomes like we used it for something else, we used it for the TV, and then we shifted to use it for something else, which is like keep on benefit of using these kind of stories. So if we're gonna summarize the main three things about journalism and news, there should be three main events. There should be an action, which is why we did this story about. And then there should be a different medium, which is like a different platform that will carry the story and make it reach to different people. And this is why communication is something very important to be there. And when we're gonna talk about past and recent and communication, like communication, it's all about us being connected to each other. So I'm gonna go back because we're talking about the past, and we're gonna speak about the past, and we're gonna speak about the communication revolution. How did the communication start to get better and better and better and different? So at the beginning, we have those two cute cavemen. They start by talking to each other, okay? And then, because of there was a need for them to develop, because there was like, we can say long distance between them, they decide to develop something new.
Yeah!
Which was something like this. Okay, so this is kind of a different way for them to communicate. They start talking, now they start shouting because of the long distance. Then what happened is like long distance wouldn't work and shouting wouldn't work. So they shifted to something else, which is drawing and writing to deliver their messages. After that, who didn't use these kind of weird stuff when he was back in school? Like using cups and, okay, there is two. Later on, like the Egyptian came and they developed some way of communicating with the public but in Germany, the first newspaper was launched in 1609. And it titled by that time the new media, because it can communicate with so many people in a different way. After that, in 1906, so after 300 years, the revolution of TV came, and people start watching and hearing at the same time. After that, the internet came in 1960, and then social media came and started in 2005, and it was titled the new media. So imagine, the newspaper was a new media, and then the TV, and now social media. Now, the question is, what causes this change? Why people shifted from different platform to another? They could have stuck with the shouting thing. You saw them, they were so cute. The thing was, the shifting was because of the need. People want to have something handy, something easy to use, something reachable, and they can go and watch it and use it and rely on it every time and everywhere and every place. So now I'm going to play a video that describes the need for social media, especially here in the Arab region. Thank you very much. Good night.
الطابع الإسلامي كان واضحا في الاجتماع الأول للمعارضة في مدينة أنطاليا التركية فضلا عن الدولة.
خلف شاشة نعرفها ونشاهدها.
مسلحون يعتقد أنهم من أنصار الرئيس استقبلوا بالرصاص الحي مسيرة
إعلام نعيشه ونتحدثه، لكن خلف الكواليس هناك شيء لا نبصره. إطار صغير يعكس لنا وجه عالم مصيرنا ارتبط به. كي نتواصل ونتفاعل. ونعبر عما تراه أنت أو أنا أرى. فهل ستكتفي بالمشاهدة؟ أدوات جاءت لتكمل اللعبة وترسم شكلا جديدا لها. صورة أقرب، بعد أعمق، يؤهلك أن تعرف أكثر.
So again, what we saw was kind of like in this part of the region, youth as considered as like they don't have opinion, they don't have any kind of a way to communicate or reach others. What I wanted to show in this video was to referring to the youth as the puppets, and then as you can see in the video, at the end of it, the puppets start to move and they start to, like, even if they couldn't be part of what's happening, at least like emotionally they are connected and they're trying to be there through the social media. So if we go back, because we're talking about news, when we heard about social media in this part of the region, it was in 2009 when the Iranian election happened and how things started there and developed. And the material was archived not through Reuters or other agencies. It was archived through a social media platform where everyone started to share it, and then the agencies started to deliver it to everyone. We've seen the social media in 2009 Iranian election, and then we saw it in Haiti earthquake and how people start using social media and they're praying to everyone and they're safe in Haiti. And then in 2011, we saw what happened in the Arab region, and things are still continuously happening here. This all was because of the need of the people to use a different platform to people to hear their voice. But what about the news channel? So at the beginning, news channel used to rely on archived materials, which was coming from the agency. So whatever comes from the agencies, we only use because we know that it's authentic, we have so many deals with them, they know them, and those kind of things. Later on, because of the news was continuously happening and they couldn't have any, like they overused the archive material that they had, the good archive materials, they start to use any kind of archive materials. And then they switch to use the online resources, just any footage to create the story and to make it happen. And then they start to rely on social media. Nowadays, any kind of resources for news becomes like everyone can use it and it has to tell the story. And this was the beginning of the journalism and reporting thing. And what happened was like through monitoring and evaluating our experience, we come up with lessons that we learned, maybe we can say in a hard way, but it will start to help us to shape the present and to make a better future for the industry that we're in. Now again, why did these things happen? It was the need. Like now, at the beginning I spoke about the need of the people, now I'm gonna speak about the need of the news channel. Jumping into new platforms mean you need to learn and train on those new things, which mean you need to absorb what's there, and then after you absorb it, you need to adapt it and change things to work in a way that it can give you a customizable solution. And this customizable solution can improve your output, and then it can develop whatever you're gonna present or creating new ideas that makes you connected and join through this new platform.
سلطان عفوا، جزء من عملي الدائم أرجو أن تختصر لأنه الوقت بدأ يداهمنا قدر الإمكان إذا سمحت.
Okay. So in 2011, we started the social media thing, and then we started to grow. I'm just gonna go through this story. This boy had a mental issue, and he was lost from his family. And usually we received so many emails about lost puppies or lost people through emails, but we didn't know how old is the story and how accurate it is. What happened here in social media, one of the guys was saying that my cousin is missing, please try to find him and help me. We communicated with the guy and we start joining the conversation and we start to use this platform as a relay sources for the story until those people, like so many people from different cities, joined together and they started looking for the kid. And after 6 hours, they found him and they took him back to his family. Now, if this kind of story that has the humanity side and aspect wasn't archived, no one would know about it, or no one would rely or think that this kind of platform would exist and would help to find this kind of stories, but it did. Part of like the learning process that we learn, it's like to create new things, which is why we created so many different things. One of the things was the live translation. It's like because we are an Arabic channel and we need to have like an archive for our content in a different language. This is why we've created a solution to archive all the news bulletins that we have into different languages, and this service will be launched in the beginning of next year. Also, we created a breaking news system, which was one of the first kind in the news industry. Now, all our breaking news that goes on Twitter, it's linked with the TV in a solution where like it's all automated. There is no human interaction. So basically, all the breaking news, it's kept and archived for us to go back to it and know when it happened. Also, we developed so many things, and then like to measure the success of the result of the story, we've earned and won different awards. This is some of them, and we're managing around 40 accounts, serving around 16 million fans around different kind of social media platforms. 11 million in Twitter, Facebook it's 5 million, and around 26 million per month in the website. Just want to share something small, and it's archived. Now, you know Gangnam Style thing. Now the hits on this video, it's around 1.8 billion. And all the MBC's channels on YouTube, still it's not reaching to Gangnam Style, which is like 1.6. And hopefully one day we'll beat this guy. Thank you very much.
شكرا سلطان. أرجو أن تبقى هنا قليلا. عودتنا دائما طبعا على يعني التقديم الخلاق بقدر الإمكان. أنا أود أن أحصر أكثر الموضوع في القطاع الأرشيفي. هل من مشاكل معينة أو أولويات المشاكل، إذا صح أمهات المشاكل التي تواجهك الآن وتعمل على حلها في قطاع السوشيال ميديا أو التواصل الاجتماعي المتخصص فيها؟
طبعا احنا أو let's say we are the only platform that we can say that we don't have anything, because we're based online and the platform that we're using, it's a shared platform that everyone can reach to it. So basically, whenever we want to do any kind of research, we can reach to those materials because it's archived on different platforms and online. Mm-hmm. So we don't have any problems. The problems that we have is kind of like developing new things for the channel to use it through the social media. So basically, because social media, it's every day, it's changing and new things are coming. So you need to find a way to adapt these things and then deliver it to the channel to make it like following the trend.
سلطان، عندما كنت تتحدث وعندما كان زميل حسن يتحدث، وجدت انه وانا ايضا من خلال عملي كمراسل في بعض الاحيان عندما اغطي بعض الاحداث في الخارج، ليس هناك من صلة وصل في الواقع بين قسمك وبين المراسلين في الMBC او في العربية. هل هذا موجود بأي طريقة كانت؟ وإن لم يكن موجودا لماذا؟ ألا تساعده كثيرا؟ ألا تساعد المراسل كثيرا إذا كانت هذه الأقسام متصلة أكثر ببعض في العمل الأرشيفي؟ عندما أريد أنا أبحث عن ما قيل في تويتر وما وضع على فيسبوك وما وضع على يوتيوب بشأن حدث معين قد يفيدني في تغطية ما، وأرجو لحسن أن يشاركنا أيضا في هذا الموضوع. هل من مجال للبحث في ذلك؟
Yes. Now, because usually the TV industry, it's like one-way communicating, or so you're communicating with people in one direction. You only give them the material. But if you look at the social media, the main essential thing about social media, it's the two-way communication. So, for example, if MBC had a very strong base on social media, one of the things that they can do is to ask people who live in those kind of country to give them some footage. Mm-hmm. And this is sometimes what we're doing when we have a shortage in places where like there is a crisis. For example, there is heavy rains or floods. We communicate with people, please give us some pictures and some footage for this event. So they send it back to us and then we use it for the TV. So basically it's kind of like a new sources for us to rely on to get what we are looking for.
وقد يكون هناك حلقة وصل أكثر قوة بين كل هذه الأقسام، بحيث حتى إذا وصلت صور من مواطنين يمكن للمراسلين أن يستخدموها أيضا في تقاريرهم عندما يرسلوها من دول معينة. يعني إذا كانت مناطق لا يستطيعون الوصول إليها. حسن، يمكن أن تتحدث في هذه النقطة؟
I think we are already heading that way because most of the reporters now, if they are stuck with lack of certain images or pictures or certain footage that they need, they go to the social media. Mainly, I personally go to YouTube. Now there is high quality footage on YouTube. You don't need to go for the mediocre pictures. You have to be to look at the probably the HD material that is available there. And if you need to use it, it won't affect the quality of your reporting and the request of your channel, which insists on high quality pictures and high quality archive material. So we are heading that way, and I think now what we need to achieve, especially in our organization, is try to create connection so that I know what this department is doing, what they have, and then I can sort of somehow open their site and see, oh, they have there, so I am using my own company's footage rather than relying on a foreign or external source. I think that's what we need to build up in the future, but it has to be done sooner because we are growing faster. We have correspondents everywhere in the world, and they rely heavily on this footage. So we are heading that way, in my view.
شكرا حسن. سلطان، هل يمكن أن تعد بذلك، أن تعد حسن بذلك بالعمل بشكل يعني أكثر قربا إذا صح التعبير أو أكثر توصيلا بين الأقسام هذه؟
Yeah, sure. Basically, the synergy it's needable in this kind of case, but we cannot assume that this is what they need. So what we need from the reporters or anyone is to tell us exactly what is their requirement, and once we get this requirement, we'll deliver it to them. Mm-hmm. So this is why it's kind of like a communication thing. We need to communicate with each other. I know what is the missing part you need, and then I try to communicate it with the people that I'm serving, which is the social media. If they give me something that it's reliable and can be used, it can be delivered to use for the TV. For sure, this is just to discharge the what do you call the rights on the videos. But yes, it can be done.
طبعا هذه مشكلة أخرى. شكرا جزيلا لك سلطان بتاوي، مدير وحدة قسم التواصل الاجتماعي في العربية. أشكر أيضا زميل حسن زيتوني كبير مراسلي قناة MBC. أهلا بكما. شكرا للحضور الكريم، شكرا لمشاركتنا في هذه الجلسة. سأعفيكم من توجيه أي أسئلة. البعض لا يزال متأثرا على ما يبدو بسهرة أمس، ولكن يعني كان يسعدني أن أكون معكم فيها. على أي حال أعطي الكلمة للسيد الآن. شكرا جزيلا لك ولتقديمك. تفضل.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you, Hassan and Sultan. And special thanks to Tahir for his extremely lively and very, very creative moderating of this session. And I second his opinion, judging from the number of empty tables. I think yesterday's night was a very, very enjoyable night, right? Nobody is coming back. All right, the next presentation is by Monsieur Beniot Fevrier from EVS. Oh, sorry, there is a question. Okay, one second.
صباح الخير جميعا. مجدي يازجي صحافي من قناة العربية. عندي سؤال أول شيء أستاذ حسن، بدي أسألك شح المادة الأرشيفية أو حتى عدم وجودها قديش هو قادر أن يصدر حكم بالإعدام على فكرة قد تكون جيدة جدا لتكون تقرير كالحديث عن جزء ما أو مرحلة ما من الثورة الجزائرية أو حتى عن أحداث في سوريا، أحداث حما في عام 1982 على سبيل المثال للحصر. كم أعيد توجيه السؤال، كم من الممكن أن يكون شح المادة الأرشيفية أو حتى انعدامها تماما، كم هو قادر أن يصدر حكم في الإعدام على فكرة تقرير جيدة كالحديث كما سبق وأشرت أستاذ حسن عن موضوع الثورة الجزائرية أو حتى بعض الأحداث اللي هي منسية أرشيفيا تماما كأحداث حما في سوريا عام 1982 على سبيل المثال.
نعم، أعتقد أنه عدم توفر هذه المادة يقتل القصة، يعني يترك فراغ كبير في القصة. يعني مهما يحاول المراسل أن يستند إلى بعض المؤرخين، إلى بعض شهود عيان الذين ما زالوا مثلا على قيد الحياة وعايشوا تلك الأحداث، قد يستند إليهم في تغطية العجز عن عدم توفر الصور. لكن هذا النقص وعدم توفر مثل هذه الصور الأرشيفية يجعلنا الآن إلى يعني القنوات عليها أن تفتح تواصل كما ذكر الزميل طاهر مع التلفزيونات المحلية، لأنها تملك هذه المواد، لأنها يعني طال الزمن أو قصر لا بد أن يظهر هذا الأرشيف، لا بد أن لأنه هذا يعتبر من ذاكرة هذا البلد وذاكرة هذه الشعوب، لا بد أن نحصل على هذا الأرشيف ونحافظ عليه. وأعتقد أن الشركات التي تقوم بهذه المهمة عليها أن تعطينا الإمكانيات التقنية التي تسهل علينا الحفاظ على هذا الأرشيف، ليس فقط كما هو إنما تحسين نوعيته وجودته كذلك، لأنه فيه بعض الأرشيف اللي هو ربما لا نستطيع أن نستخدمه، لكن إذا استطعنا أن نحسن من جودته فنحافظ على ما هو القليل منه، ولكن قد يستخدم في دوكيومنتريز، في تقارير إخبارية، فهذه أعتقد مهمة.
شكرا جزيلا. كمان كان عندي سؤال لسلطان. سلطان, thank you for very much for this creative actually about all the social media.
It's crazy.
Yeah. My question is actually about YouTube. We've been through a lot dealing with YouTube, and the question is how credible it is dealing with very sensitive stuff like the Syrian revolution now. It's all about YouTube. How could it be more credible if we want to talk about social media to connect it to the news work, the daily basis stuff? Especially everyone is questioning, doubting, and even saying that it's not true at all. Those people are shooting them in home.
Yeah. See, the thing is, when you're dealing with social media or dealing with YouTube videos, the first thing that you need to do is to mention the source. Once you mention the source, that means that this is something that the public has published, and like we are only telling the people what we saw. This is part of what people take footage of, and they share it, and we're sharing what they share. We're not saying that when we put it in the news that we adopt this picture or we said that it's accurate, but this is what people are saying. And if you can find like 6 or 7 or 10 videos sharing the same thing, the same event from different angles, that means that it happens and it's not fabricated.
All right, certainly some very, very interesting subjects. Any more questions? All right.
شكرا جزيلا.
Okay, شكرا. Thank you very much. Thank you. Next presentation is from EVS, Monsieur Beniot Fevrier, and the presentation will be in French. So once again, our simultaneous translation. No?
I will present in English.
English, okay, all right, no problem.
Good morning, everyone. So I am Beniot Fevrier. I am the manager of EVS Media. And sorry for having no title for the presentation, and thank you for staying. So I will talk about the importance of efficient archiving and the choice of file format for the archive. So during these 2 days, we have heard about the many file formats to deal with the archive. What you want to do when you choose a file format for the archive, you want to choose a file format for your video, for your audio, and also for your metadata. So one of the main file formats used on the market today is the MXF file format, and we see more and more the JPEG 2000 becoming a standard as a codec to deal with archive, especially on the US market. So I will talk about a little bit about MXF and JPEG 2000 as a file format for archive and for long-term preservation. So why using MXF? So MXF is a wrapper format standardized by SMPTE. So if you want to preserve your archive in the future, you need to use maybe a standardized file format, because if you open any document, you will be able to manage this MXF in the future. So MXF is a tool set for interoperability. It's also a vehicle for metadata. So if you want to store your timecode, your audio label, also your aspect ratio, MXF has a lot of metadata scheme to manage this kind of information. You have also the ability to describe your content with log, with audio labels, etc. And I will explain a little bit, but you have different operational patterns in the MXF. Also, I want to explain a concept for MXF, because we see different implementation for the MXF today. You have sometimes self-contained MXF file, and sometimes you have atomic MXF file. So when we talk about MXF self-contained, in one file, you have all the video tracks, but also all the audio tracks, and also you have tracks for metadata. It can be very handy and very useful to have all the video and the audio and the metadata wrapped in one unique file, because when you want to exchange this MXF file with different location, you just have to move one file. And if you want to check the integrity of your archive or your footage or your content, you can just calculate, for instance, a checksum on a unique file. But if you want to extract a video and an audio, you need to unwrap all the file. So self-contained can be very useful for exchanging file, but this is not optimized for archive management. What we see right now more and more on the market is atomicity of MXF file. So in this case, you have one file for each video track, and you have one file for each audio tracks. And also, if you want to add metadata on the life cycle of your archive, you can also add a new file for your metadata. And then the outcome or the result of your archive can be an essenceless MXF file or an XML that aggregates all your video and your audio together to make a unique and a finished footage for archive. I will come back to this concept after, but I think it's really important, this one. Let's have a few words about JPEG 2000. So JPEG 2000 is a normalized codec, just very important. It's an old codec. I used to work in the aerospace industry, and with satellites in France, in Toulouse, we are already encoding frame from satellites in JPEG 2000 with wavelength technology. So it's a still frame encoder. And this is one of the unique codec on the market that has a real implementation and that provide the ability to encode in lossless. That means you are reducing the size of your file, but you don't make any compromise on the quality. And also you have different progression order. I will explain a little bit on this one. So I don't want to be too technical, but today you see two implementation with JPEG 2000. On the left side of the slide, you have CPRL, and on the left side, you have LRCP. just to explain very shortly the difference between CPRL and LRCP. On CPRL, you can see on this presentation, which is important, we first start by separating each component of the JPEG 2000. So before doing the compression, we will start by just extracting the red, the green, and the blue, and then we will apply a compression on the red, on the green, and the blue. On the left side, we will use the layer. That means we will start by reducing the compression without touching the video color. So today we see both implementations, CPRL and LRCP. And we have people saying that LRCP is better for archive management because if you have a break or if you have an issue in your file and your file is cut in the middle of a frame, you will keep your video integrity even if you have a smaller resolution in your file. If you use CPRL, for instance, and you break your frame in the middle, maybe you will only get one color of your frame. And we see more and more archivists, or we see many archivists preferring having a lower resolution, but having all the color of their frame, rather than having only one color. So you will see in the implementation CPRL and LRCP, in the archive current implementation. So I wanted to explain you what is the current status of MXF G2K implementation. So everything relies on SMPTE as of today. And I will talk about the raster, the progression order, as I just explained, the MXF. And the first implementation of MXF G2K on the market was made in Los Angeles, in Hollywood, by the ETC, standing for Entertainment Technology Center. I don't know if you know, but if you go to a digital cinema theater, and if you see digital cinema films, movie, the file format that is played by the video server is an MXF JPEG 2K. So the first implementation on the market of MXF JPEG 2000 was digital cinema industry. And it comes from the business and from the west coast of the US, exactly in Los Angeles or Hollywood. So if you take the DCP, the only way of wrapping content is in 2K or 4K. The progression order is CPRL. And also you have atomic, but also you have the ability to encrypt your content. So if you want to add security to your content, you have the ability to encrypt. And we see also some archivists using this kind of technology just to secure the exchange of the archive between different sites. So after the DCP implementation, we have seen many institutions or TV embracing MXF JPEG 2K as a standard for archive and long-term preservation. So one of the first was INA in France, using MXF OP1A to migrate the archive. Also, we have had also the Hollywood studio in Los Angeles. I don't know if you remember this tsunami in Japan. I'm sure you remember. That was, we were missing a lot of tapes in the US, especially HDCAM SR tapes. And at this time, the Hollywood studio like Fox, like NBC or Sony Pictures, they have decided to really accelerate the implementation of MXF JPEG 2K as an exchange format to exchange footage between Hollywood studios. So it is also coming from the US. And EVS, we are also working with Library of Congress in Culpeper in Washington. And they have also used MXF JPEG 2000 for the archive. We have also been involved in John Fitzgerald Kennedy archive migration. And they have also used MXF JPEG 2000 as a standard. So in this case, we have a very open MXF OP1A, and it can be OP1A or atomic. Then there is an initiative in the US supported by AMWA and supported by also this Library of Congress initiative called AS07, and EVS is really involved in this implementation. So AS07 will enable to do SD and HD, LRCP and CPRL, and also to do atomic archive implementation. Also, there is, we love in this industry using letters and acronyms. So there is a new implementation called IMF, standing for Interoperable Master Format, also coming from Los Angeles and Hollywood. And this IMF application 2 enabled to encode JPEG 2000 in SD and HD with atomic implementation. Then in France, the CNC, the Centre National du Cinéma, has decided to use MXF JPEG 2000 as a standard for migrating the film and archiving the film footage, the French film footage. So they have decided to use this IMF implementation, and they have made a recommendation called RT021 that enables to use this IMF, but for HD, 2K, and 4K, and using also this atomic with CPRL and RRCP implementation. So this is a picture of where we stand. And if you want to use MXF JPEG 2K for your archive, or if you want to move your archive to this new format, you have to be aware that there are so many implementations available on the market. And if you want to migrate your archive in SD or in film or in both, maybe you will prefer using IMF, or you will prefer using AS07. It depends. But it's really important to choose the right file format. So also I wanted to emphasize the scalability of an archive. So you are, most of you, archivists, and you will start your archive with SD, and you will ingest your SD, which is 4:3 or 16:9. And even if you only use SD, the aspect ratio can be really important. So if you use MXF, there are some locations, there are some place in the MXF as metadata to describe the aspect ratio. If you don't manage the aspect ratio correctly, you may have issue in the future when you want to retrieve your archive. Then maybe your archive will evolve in the future. So you start with SD, and then you are starting receiving HD tape, and these HD tape are interlaced. So I explained the JPEG 2000 is a progressive codec, and you have to handle interlaced footage. And then in the future, you have to also manage HDCAM SR, which is also HD, but which is RGB and also progressive. Sorry, it's written interlaced, but it's progressive. Then you have scanner, you have film to migrate, and then you have to manage in your archive RGB 2K or XYZ, which is a new color space. And et cetera, you will have to handle 4K and 8K. So especially in the US market, we see archivists, they don't want to mix different codecs, they don't want to mix different file formats. They just want to use a unique file format, a unique codec for all the scale, all the resolutions. And they want to manage all of this. So even if you migrate tapes, you are migrating scanner, you will have also some requirements in the future to receive file, for instance. So maybe you will be deliver HD file, but also you will be deliver DCP, standing for Digital Cinema Package. How do you manage the scalability of this archive? Ingesting tape, scanning films, receiving file, receiving DCP, which is encrypted. How do you manage this? And MXF is definitely the answer, and MXF JPEG 2000 can be the solution of choice for this kind of scalability, because with JPEG 2000, you can come from SD to any resolution, and you can manage the interlacing and also the progressive order. Also, what we see for the archive, I don't know if you see this implementation on the market, we have more and more archivists receiving what we call contribution. So you don't receive any support, you don't receive any device to archive, you just receive a stream. And how to manage this stream when it comes to be archived as a file in your robot or on your LTO. And MXF JPEG 2000 is a really streamable format. We see JPEG 2000 coming a reality for contribution. So also, sorry to talk about the US always, but in the US, they're also considering JPEG 2000 because it's also a contribution codec for the archive. I wanted to have also a few words about managing the interlacing. So again, I explained that JPEG 2000 is not suited for interlacing. So you have to be careful when you have to manage interlacing content with JPEG 2000. So you have metadata to describe the interlacing description. You have also metadata to describe what will be the storage heights of your frame or your field. And also, you have to be very careful of your timecode definition in your MXF, because in the MXF, when you describe timecode of a frame, And we see people implementing MXF JPEG 2000, implementing timecode with a field. And in this case, you have issue with the frame accuracy of your MXF file. Also, the top field first and the bottom field first of your MXF JPEG 2000 or your MXF in general can be very important. So this is an example of a bad implemented MXF file with a bad description of the aspect ratio and the bad description of the storage heights of your MXF. And in this case, you see a player playing the MXF file will only play a field and not the entire movie. So if today you cannot play your MXF file, you only get half of your content, imagine what will happen in the future. You won't be able to exploit and to repurpose your content. If it doesn't work today, we can guess or we can bet it won't work in the future. So in this case, we have a bad store height implementation in the MXF. We have also a bad timecode description. And this timecode is rolling 50 frames per second, which is not available in the MXF standard as of today. Also, I don't know if you can see, this is an MXF file play with a bad top field first, bottom field first description. So in this case, we have just inverted the field order, and then you cannot really exploit this kind of MXF file. So we have, for instance, customers dealing the archive with EVS, and when they retrieve the archive, they have to transcode into 200 file formats. Imagine if you have this kind of issue with interlacing, you cannot have right quality with your content when it comes to transcoding or repurposing and delivering to third party or OTT or second screen. So when you migrate your archive, whatever the file format you want to use, the QC process, the quality control is really key and is really important. So you have very good tool on the market enabling to do QC on the file when you do ingest or when you do archiving. But what we see on the market with our customers, they are still continuing using what they call ear and eyes. So they're checking visually and they want to hear the content before they put it on a long-term archive. And for this kind of interlacing issue, it's really hard to detect it with an automatic QC. So it can make sense to have like a sampling or random sampling to check your MXF integrity before putting them on a long-term archive. I wanted also to share with you what we did with the French film to bridge between this Hollywood implementation and this digital cinema implementation. What was really important was to enable to support 2K, 4K, and maybe 8K in the future as a film archive format. But what was also key was the frame rate management. So if you take an IMF Hollywood implementation today, the first frame rate you can implement is 24 frames, which is a cinema frame rate. And what we see on the French cinema market, we have very, very old movie, and they want just to scan the film and keep, for instance, 16 frames per second. So we need a way to encode this movie in 16 frames per second, and we need to keep this metadata as a very valuable information in your MXF file format. So what we did with this recommendation in France, we enabled to also store 16 frames per second or maybe 20, and non-regular broadcast frame rate. Also, really important was the color space. YUV and RGB are really suited for broadcast, but if you want to archive films, you may want to go to other color space implementation, and XYZ is a different color space. This is more the response of the eye when you see a picture in your eyes with your brain. So what we see today as an archive for film or for digital cinema is really XYZ as a color space use rather than RGB. And we use also a 16-bit linear rather than a 10-bit or a 12-bit logarithmic implementation, which is not really usable in the future. And I think that's it for this one. So the last one, maybe I wanted to explain what would be the advantage of using self-contained or using atomic MXF file for your archive. So this is an MXF wrapping all the audio and the video, and also the metadata in a unique file. And this is another way of seeing your archive. So for instance, you have an archive and you have decided to store your video, your audio into atomic file. So in this case, you have a video which is a unique file, you have audio which are Unix files, and you have made a description of this MXF with an XML, and you have this other file gathering all the content together. And let's say your archive will evolve in the future, and because this archive is coming into Arabic countries, you decide to translate the contents with an Arabic audio tracks. And in this case, you will only have to add an audio tracks to your archive, and you don't have to retrieve all your archive, add this audio track, and rewrap everything. You just add these audio tracks in your archive. And you just generate a new MXF or a new XML just to gather everything together and be aware that now your archive is also enabled with an Arabic audio tracks. Now, let's say you have this video original version, the French version, and this Arabic version, and you want to retrieve this archive. You just want to generate the original version. So you just retrieve 2 files from your archive. So you are saving bandwidth, you are saving place, and you generate just a file just to generate this new archive extraction just with this audio and this video. And now, let's say you want to deliver an Arabic country, and in this case, you just extract this video file and this audio file, and you will generate this Arabic version of your archive. So in this case, you get rid or you avoid to extracting all the video, all the audio from your archive. You only extract the piece of audio and video useful for the destination you want to deliver. So this is my last slide just to, so we can spend hours and hours talking about the right file format, the right quality, the right implementation. This is just a really short sum up of the good habits if you want to choose your right format for the archive, if you have any project or if you want to migrate new content. For an archive with no compromise on quality, to our perspective, the best option today ever is MXF with JPEG 2000, because we have so many institutions that already embrace this file format as a standard, and we have a lot of third-party transcoding tool enabling to deal with this kind of MXF JPEG 2000. So if you look at INA, if you look at Library of Congress, if you look at studios, if you look at cinema, French films, they have all embraced MXF JPEG 2000 as a must for their MXF, for their archive migration, sorry. When you think about your new archive, please look at the scalability. Maybe you will have a set of footage in SD, but I'm sure you will have to handle HD 2K file in the future. And dealing with that as soon as possible when you define your archive can be key to save a lot of time and then a lot of money in the future. Also, the metadata scheme and the metadata model is really key to be really studied, specified. And when I talk about metadata, the first metadata to consider is not description, is not thesaurus. I'm talking about technical metadata. If you don't describe correctly the interlacing, the aspect ratio, your content won't have the right integrity right now and in the future. So it's key when we talk about preservation. The wrapper can be also interesting. If you have a long-term archive, you want to store everything into a single file, self-contained will be the best choice. If you have an archive really living in the future with a lot of back and forth exchange with your archive, considering the atomicity of the MXF file can make sense. And also the interoperability. I know these customers, I don't want to mention his name, but he has started archiving his contents with a system, and this system, after an upgrade, is not able to read the file they have generated 1 year ago. So if you cannot read your MXF file 1 year after in your archive, imagine what will happen in 20 years. So the interoperability needs to be tested today, but also it's really important to have a recurrent test of interoperability of your file with your systems and also with your third party very, very frequently. That's it. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Benoit. Are there any questions for Benoit? No? All right, everything is clear.
Thank you.
Merci beaucoup. Thank you.
Merci.
All right, we're into coffee break now. We see you all back here at 11:30, where there will be the first draw for some gifts after the coffee break. So see you at 11:30.
So before we do the morning's giveaways, I did have a question. I know that there are a number of people that are going to be leaving Dubai, flying out this evening, and we've just been looking at the logistics and thinking about the possibility of organizing a bus that will leave from the party at Bab al Shams, and instead of coming back to the hotel, actually take people that are going to the airport directly to the airport. I'd just like to get an idea, so if you don't mind, a quick show of hands. If this is something that is of interest to you, please just put your hand up. Okay, so there's enough of us for it to be worthwhile. So we're going to organize a bus. One of the buses will leave from Bab al Shams. So when you're ready to leave tonight, just bring your luggage down. We'll leave it in the bus, in the boot under the seats, and then we'll organize transport directly from Bab al Shams to the airport. Okay, so now we have some prizes to give away. Are we going to ask for some volunteers? Who's doing something? Who comes from a country that starts with what letter? B? E. England. There's too many. Anybody that starts with a country that starts with R? R? Nobody from Russia or Romania or no? Okay, choose another letter. Somebody choose a letter. All right, here you go. What country are you from? Japan. Come and, okay. Any volunteers for somebody from a country that starts with J? Okay, there you go. Right, come and pull out some numbers. $490.
490 490 490. No.
Nobody? We're moving
All right.
on. Next number.
Okay. 421. 421. 421. 421. Oh.
Have you got it?
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. 421. Okay. What should we give him?
All right, we will give him this.
Okay.
This is a 2 GB iPod Shuffle presented by Ericsson.
Oh, there you go.
Where is the...
Okay.
Oh, you are the camera. You are the cameraman. You should take our picture.
Okay, do you want to pull another one?
Sorry, where was the...
Where did you put it?
All right, okay. One,
142.
142 142.
142.
142, yes, in the booth.
What, is this somebody from the booth
In
again?
the booth?
I tell you what, they've done a great job, and now they're being rewarded.
Of course.
We got 6 translators, and 2 of them have now won a prize. And while they're coming up from the back, let's pull out another number.
Let's pull out another number, yeah. 17 17 17 17 17. No 17. Yeah.
Where do you live? In the UAE. Dorothy, I think we should get a different prize. Well, we had some prizes that were specifically chosen for people that live in the UAE. Okay. Okay.
Just
Well,
hold on then.
Okay. Go with Dorothy. She'll give you a prize.
All right, we're pulling another number, Kevin. 288. 288.
I thought that was
288.
Oh!
Oh.
It seems a bit silly to give him a Dubai tourism book.
If he lives in Dubai, yeah.
Yeah. You also live in Dubai? I think, I'm going to say congratulations, but I think you should go get a prize from Dorothy.
Thank you. This is which number?
288.
Yes, that's correct. Okay, one more number.
498.
498.
498. 498. 498. 498. No.
No?
No movement. No movement. Okay, one more.
300.
300.
Let me 300. 300. Going once. All right.
$182.
182. 182. 182. Okay. Let's continue.
$92.
92. Hey. I think he would like that.
Okay, let's give him this one.
I would like that.
Okay. I was keeping this one for you, Hassan.
Thank you.
Okay, so this is an iPad from MediaCast.
Thank you.
So there you go. Oh, they want your picture. They want your picture. Okay, here you go.
Thank you.
We have a few more gifts.
304.
304. 304. 304. 304. Unlucky? Unlucky. Okay.
$305.
305.
So the person that was just sitting there saying, I missed it by one.
You want us to go down, not up, huh? All right, I understand. 305. 305. No. Please go down.
$445.
445. What? 445.
What number are you? Oh, okay. And you succeeded.
Oh my gosh. Nobody is here. 445. Let's do one more, I think.
$355.
355. 355. No. All right.
Okay, so I have an Dorothy will tell me off for doing this. Who traveled the furthest to get here? 14 hours. Anybody did anybody fly further than 14? How far did you fly? Where did you come from? Chile. Oh, yeah. Chile. Is Chile further away than Brazil? Okay. I'm going to give you. So before we do the morning's giveaways, I did have a question. I know that there are a number of people that are going to be leaving Dubai, flying out this evening, and we've just been looking at the logistics and thinking about the possibility of organizing a bus that will leave from the party at Bab al Shams, and instead of coming back to the hotel, actually take people that are going to the airport directly to the airport. I'd just like to get an idea, so if you don't mind, a quick show of hands. If this is something that is of interest to you, please just put your hand up. Okay, so there's enough of us for it to be worthwhile. So we're going to organize a bus. One of the buses will leave from Bab al Shams. So when you're ready to leave tonight, just bring your luggage down. We'll leave it in the bus, in the boot under the seats, and then we'll organize transport directly from Bab al Shams to the airport. Okay, so now we have some prizes to give away. Are we going to ask for some volunteers? Who's doing something? Who comes from a country that starts with what letter? B? E. England. There's too many. Anybody that starts with a country that starts with R? R? Nobody from Russia or Romania or no? Okay, choose another letter. Somebody choose a letter. All right, here you go. What country are you from? Japan. Come and okay. Any volunteers for somebody from a country that starts with J? Okay, there you go. Right, come and pull out some numbers. $490.
490 490 490. No.
Nobody? We're moving on. Next number.
421 421 421. Oh.
Have you got it?
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. 421. Okay. What should we give him?
All right, we'll give him this.
Okay.
This is a 2 gigabyte iPod Shuffle presented by Ericsson.
Oh, there you go.
Where is the guy? Oh, you are the camera. You are the cameraman. You should take our picture.
Okay, do you want to pull another one?
Sorry, where was the...
Where did you put it?
All right, okay.
One, 142.
142 142.
142.
142, yes, in the booth.
Wait, is this somebody from the booth
In
again?
the booth.
I tell you what, they've done a great job, and now they're being rewarded.
Of course.
We got 6 translators, and 2 of them have now won a prize. And while they're coming up from the back, let's pull out another number.
Let's pull out another number, yeah. 17 17 17 17 17. No 17. Yeah.
Where do you live? In the UAE. Dorothy, I think we should get a different prize. Well, we had some prizes that were specifically chosen for people that live in the UAE. Okay. Okay.
Just hold on then.
Okay. Go with Dorothy. She'll give you a prize.
All right, we're pulling another number, Kevin. 288 288. 288.
Oh. seems a bit silly to give him a Dubai tourism book.
If he lives in Dubai, yeah.
Yeah. You also live in Dubai? I think, I'm going to say congratulations, but I think you should go get a prize from Dorothy.
This is which number?
2288.
Yes, that's correct. Okay, one more number.
498.
498.
498. 498. 498. 498. No.
No?
No movement. No movement. Okay, one more.
300.
300.
Let me 300. 300. Going once. All right.
One 182.
182. 182. 182. Okay. Let's continue.
$92.
92. Hey! I think he will like that.
Okay, let's give him this one.
I would like that.
Okay. I was keeping this one for you, Hassan.
Thank you.
Okay, so this is an iPad from MediaCast.
Thank you.
So there you go. Oh, they want your picture. They want your picture. Okay, here you go.
Thank you.
We have a few more gifts.
304.
304 304 304 304 Unlucky? Unlucky. Okay.
$305.
305.
So the person that was just sitting there saying, I missed it by one.
You want us to go down, not up, huh? All right, I understand. 305 350. No. Please go down.
$445.
445. What? 445.
What number are you? Oh, okay. And you succeeded.
Oh my gosh. Nobody is here. 445. Let's do one more, I think.
$355.
355 355. No. All right.
Okay, so I have an Dorothy will tell me off for doing this. Who traveled the furthest to get here? 14 hours. Anybody did anybody fly further than 14? How far did you fly? Where did you come from? Chile. Oh, yeah. Chile. Is Chile further away than Brazil? Okay. I'm going to give you a prize just because you came so far.
Sorry, how about what? Did you say how about England?
England doesn't
England
count.
is next door.
Anybody come further than Chile? Where?
Japan, no? How far did you travel? Yeah, that's true. No, Chile is still further than Japan.
Chile's further away. Here we go. We've got a prize for you. Thank you. And I chose this prize because it's a book about Dubai and the history and culture and everything else. So there you go. Enjoy. I think they want our photograph again. Oh, there they are.
Yeah, we'll do it later. Thank
Okay.
you very much. Thank you.
I think that's enough prizes for the
Yeah.
morning. We got a few more to give away after lunch. But back to Hacene, I think.
All right, yeah. Before we start this session here, I just want to announce that there are 2 other sessions which are starting in the other 2 rooms. So we've got a session about archive exchange format AXF, which is starting in the RI room. And we have a session about content rights management, which is starting in the Java room. So anybody who would like to attend these sessions can go for the rooms now. The session here is going to be entitled The Changing World of Generating Metadata, and it is kindly presented by Ricky Crawford from Deluxe Media Recall and Ernest van Velzen from Sound and Vision. Please.
I just let everybody go. Okay, good morning, Dubai. Just want to talk through today with you around about the ascent of metadata. I'm not going to talk about taxonomies, I'm not going to talk about schemas, because to be perfectly frank, you absolutely know a lot more about it than I do. But what I do want to talk about is actually where metadata has come from, and just to give you a different perspective of where we see metadata, where it has come, where it's going to go to. We're going to follow that through with some examples around sound and vision with Ernst, looking at how the sort of problems and challenges that sound and vision have to pretty much work through their sort of databases and archives. Some of the examples that we're going to look about is, is about metadata being generated for millions of years. Examples being the dinosaurs, birds, written language, etc. So to be honest, I'm not really sure when metadata started, but I do assume that it has been around a long, long time. Really from that, if you look at sort of dinosaurs, we would assume from dinosaurs that, I don't know where that came from. From dinosaurs, they walked the earth millions of years ago. We've got preserved footprints today. So from those footprints, that tells us that there was dinosaurs around, and they did actually walk the earth. But that's actually valuable information, because what it tells us is actually the size and weight of a dinosaur. That is metadata in its core form. Footprints are also used by early man. So early man used footprints to actually hunt their prey, hunt their dinner, so to creating the evolution of it. What again, that was, those footprints again, they used them not just to tell about the weight and size of the animal, but also the particular animal that they were actually chasing to hunt down. Again, that was their form of metadata, form of information that they were being given from the visual impacts that they had around them at the time. Other elements of metadata is pre-language. So what we've got with this particular one, this example here, is metadata about a bird. So as far as we're concerned, I think we've got a bird. This is crazy. Can't you hear me? Is that... Okay, sorry. I'll speak a bit louder as well. So the metadata about the bird, what the image is telling us is that it's a bird song. It's really giving us from a human perspective, it's a beautiful spring day, the world is a fantastic place to be in. But actually from another bird's perspective, it's actually giving that bird metadata. It's actually telling the other birds about the indicator of their health, indicating whether they're in a mating season or not. Again, that is metadata. That's not metadata we'd associate with schemas, with taxonomies, with archives, but it is all metadata. We also are able to actually generate some technical metadata from the audio recordings and the spectrum analysis of that. So this element on the right-hand side, which is the heat map of sound, that's giving us technical information about that. It's telling us about the frequency, the pitch, the tone, etc. Again, metadata that we could probably understand that would go into taxonomy or schema. Moving through,
We also then start to talk looking at the languages. So language is an interesting one to describe. It's actually a descriptive metadata. Words denote ownership, which links into rights metadata. They also describe location, which links into a management form of metadata. Examples being is the name Smith, a very British English name. What it actually means is somebody who works in metal. Cooper is the same. Cooper is a descriptive name that actually describes somebody's job, that they put bands around beer barrels. Again, this is metadata. This is what everything is really called from the beginning. Moving through, we then start to look at the way it evolves. And art is one area that metadata has evolved. So it's moved from some early language, different types of written communications into art. So art is not just about text for metadata. Art is all about cave paintings. It's all about describing where humans have come from. It's about putting down the visual effects of it. Tattoos, another example. That's early metadata from early tribes, different tribes. You could describe which tribe you came from a tattoo. That's actually evolved today into gang warfare as a really obscure one, because people now use tribes. They now use tattoos to actually describe which gang they came from and which clan they're from. The same with cave paintings. They give a great insight into the behaviours and what they did, what they ate, who they hunted. And that was actually an example of visual metadata to tell the next generation of people where this comes from. For us, it's actually a great insight into history, but it's art. It's art, it's metadata. So it's very, very clear that metadata is not always about numbers, ones and zeros, and the written text. It's everywhere as far as we're concerned. We then do move on to written language, actually. Written language is actually there to describe things. It's there to sort of tell people about what's going on, how it works. Unfortunately, you don't have one standard of written language. You've got multiple standards. So you've got the English language, you've got the Arabic language, you've got Russian languages. That's where we first start to see diversions of standards. What does it highlight? Well, basically it highlights different alphabets, different scripts. It was also the first barrier to sort of written information interchange. So we've got multiple formats, multiple schemas, but from that we are pretty much getting to a point where we've got multiple standards now. It's very, very difficult to manage multiple standards, and that in itself creates their own challenges, but it's about the divergence as well. We suspect the written language really has kick-started expansion of content and metadata. Because of language, we've got this desire to have and maintain an archive, really. It's because we've got so much available to us now. That really is the core of where we're saying, actually, how do we manage this? How do we support this? How do we actually take it forward? How do we actually manipulate it? How can we use it going forward? How do we understand history? By storing it in an archive, we're able to actually pull out that information. We're able to generate additional metadata, as well as what the core metadata is telling us. We can do that through a manual process. We can do it through an automatic process. We can also do it through hybrid processes. And those hybrid processes are one of the things that we'll focus on a little bit later on. Keeping the past recent, absolutely to do with this FIAT conference this weekend. Early content is still available to us today. So as you can see, this is now a digitized version of a passenger list from a ship moving people from Europe across to the Americas in the early 1920s. Settling in the New World, what this is telling us, it's the names of the people in there, it's the ship, the size of the ship, the weight, the height. All of this is an analogy for technical metadata. So again, we can store this. It gives us a much richer set of descriptive metadata as well. So if we digitize and we make this content available, it extends the reach of the content, and actually it's keeping the past close, which I think is an absolute theme of where this conference is really heading. And I think it's the place it needs to be heading to. So we have so much data out there. A lot of it has already been digitized. A lot of it is yet to be digitized. But this is an example that we can do. We can use that. We can store it. We can recreate it. And we can also search for it. Sorry. Hopefully that should be a bit easier. So what that's really telling us is nowadays metadata is absolutely everywhere. Probably should have done this in the first place, actually. Okay, so metadata today, we've got an abundance of it everywhere. It's every conceivable format. Metadata is not just about text in a database or a taxonomy. The tube map that you can see on the left-hand side, it's a rich set of metadata about an actual public transport network. It's visual metadata. The map of Dubai is also another form of visual metadata. It's giving you information, the information about where you are, where you're located, and how you need to move forward. Moving on, you've also got other types of metadata, and this is everyday metadata. The bicycle sign, that gives you access rights for a specific group, and those groups are cyclists. What that's doing is that's telling them where they can go, how they can get there. The other elements, looking at the new square one, excuse me, the new square tells us that there was a new square here. It's also telling us that there's an old square if you go through the arch. That actually is management metadata. It's telling us how to get to what we're looking for. Again, we would use that in our current formats today, looking into archives, doing search and discovery. It's just the way that we can use metadata. The idea being, and I think the interesting one is the one on the right-hand side, it's like no swimming because there's crocodiles. Unfortunately, I haven't got a crocodile sound for you today. But that no swimming could also be sharks. It's a very interchangeable style of metadata, but it's a visual metadata again. So once we start to see computers arriving, that's really the start of the digital age. So you can probably understand where we're actually moving from. So some of the very early metadata that was very visual, it described how people were going to eat, what noises animal made, what health animals were, into the age that we currently are today. So we've now seen a massive explosion in storage of metadata. That's the piece that was really caused the proliferation of standards, so the divergence of standards that we spoke about before. So from a standards perspective, so the youngsters in the screen, in the auditorium, the book on the yellow, in yellow on the left-hand side, that's actually a telephone directory. I don't think many of the younger ones have seen it. I remember them from a kid and all sorts of things. But nowadays, they're not available. We get that information online. It's all stored, it's all accessed. We can just go online, pull out the information. We can find out who somebody is, where they live, what the telephone number is, how do we actually contact them. So this is metadata changing. This is a former standard moving into a new standard. The first computer, exactly the same. The standard of computer that we had sort of 20 years ago, very, very different to what we have today. Back in the sort of the Wild West cowboy days, information around wanted sort of bad cowboys, people that have killed people, is done with just posters, put posters up in the sheriff's office. Nowadays, you see a lot of things online. There's a lot of more technical information around actually getting metadata done. That's all stored. The police databases store that information. Interpol store that sort of information as well. So they're not just reliant upon a single piece of paper. Again, as fast as we make standards, we distribute standards, they evolve and they change. The old standards fall by the wayside, but we can record them, we can keep them. It's all about metadata. Another prime example, sockets in the middle, plugs in the middle. We're all from different countries in here. We all have a different plug and socket. From the UK coming across here, pretty easy. They use 3-pin standard sockets that I would use in the UK. The guys from Europe, they use 2 pins. The guy from the States will use flat 2 pins. It's all about standards. Doesn't matter what they are, we need to deal with them, but this is where it can go wrong. And I think the message around standards is very much the message that, in my view, we should have one standard. That one standard, I think, is utopia. I'd love to get one standard across archives, across metadata, but it's just really, really not going to happen. We have to live with what we've got. We have to drive that through as best as we can. So there we have. That's my interpretation of the metadata journey. It's everywhere, pretty much in every possible format. It's generated every single day. It's more and more difficult to manage, and it's more and more difficult to monetize. It's more and more difficult to get the benefits. So really the question to me is, what now? We've taken a journey through, a very quick journey, brief journey through metadata, where we've actually got it from where it actually has taken us to. What I'm going to do, I'm going to hand over to Urs van Velzen now of Sound and Vision. He's going to just talk you through some of the problems that we've got with metadata. How do we actually use hybrid solutions of that? How does that work in a real world, in an archive world for Sound and Vision? So Ernst.
This don't work, huh? Okay. I think this is okay. Sound and vision. I'm responsible for the IT at the Dutch Institute of Sound and Vision. And in my role as responsible IT, I'm confronted with a lot of questions about what we could do with the archive that you traditionally cannot do with the closed catalog that's being used to add metadata to. So, for instance, we had experiments where people had annotated collections somewhere else in a web environment, and said, well, how do we get it now into the database of our collection management system? And that's difficult, of course, because how do you map the data with a structured data model? So it is time to explore new ways for me to connect the data you have in this collection management system with other data sources that there are around in the world. And for instance, we started with an experiment to connect the Twitter data about a very famous program in the Netherlands. I think it's also known in England as Farmer Seeks Wife, where we combine the Twitter feeds with the descriptions from our catalog. And we did it in a with very loosely coupling between an indexed structure from the database and an index that we got from indexing the Twitter feeds. And there were actually two separate things that could live along each other, but you could search them and get interesting information about when people were twittering during some items in the program. Of course, it was a little difficult because Twitter feeds are not exactly time aligned, and that's actually what you would like to have if you want to interpret your video better. So we have lots of data, and I thought, well, we should, we digitized our collection at Sound and Vision, so our problems at this moment are not any longer about preservation or digitization, although we still have a big operation going on. It's about getting access to all those data and exploring new ways to generate information out of it. So one way out of this is trying to investigate if this hybrid model of connecting all kinds of different data sources that are around in the world, because we're confronted with a lot of new information. It's called usually big data. It's unstructured. It is information that becomes more and more relevant, and we should do something with it. But you cannot put it in the catalog, of course. It doesn't work like that anymore. So I was trying to explore this model, and then Deluxe Media approached me, and they were developing a product where they have a solution where you keep your own database, exactly like I was exploring. You keep your own database, somehow via APIs, or you push the data, you combine it with search engines and combine it with all kinds of other information. So what's more relevant for archives what kinds of computing could we apply to the archive? And then for me, something like face recognition came up, and Deluxe could do face recognition on a part of our collection. So that's actually what we did with them. And we provided them with 500 hours of film about the farewell of Queen Beatrix, which is the head of state in the Netherlands, and she stopped after a lot of years being the queen. And we indexed, Deluxe indexed a lot of those data. What we're going to do is we're going to add those data to an index and combine them with material from the collection and see how that works. We're in the middle of trying to find it out. But there's also some other things I would like to stipulate, is that maybe people think that face recognition just would work like out of the box because it works on your smartphone. one like this, or on an iPad, or an iPad, or a Mac. But it is, if you apply techniques like this in a real life situation, it's different. For instance, we had the problem that some of our thumbnails weren't in the correct aspect ratio, so you could not do face recognition on them. You have, it's not fundamental science, face recognition. It is about optimizing the way you apply it, and that was interesting for Deluxe to find out how it would work with archive material. So we did like I said, we did an experiment with 500 hours, and I'm now going to start a clip where you could see how our material was being recognized in a, let's say, a demo product that Deluxe developed. And later on, we're going to get the information and add it to our, not the professional catalog, but to the new environments we're trying to develop to use for getting new information. So the next one.
Yeah. There's a burgeoning wealth of content out there, from data feeds to news and social media. This explosive growth is making it harder to cut through and expose the content you want to use or monetize. Information overload is not the only issue. All too often, teams are scattered, using multiple systems to search content in various sources and formats. It's inefficient and ineffective. The most crucial issue for some is limited metadata, because it's making it harder to surface the most relevant content. And if you're a content owner or archive, inadequate metadata may be making it harder to capitalize on your digital assets. Yet somehow we expect to be working faster now, and the pressure is on to deliver perfect content quickly and to maximize its profitability. So what's the solution? Insight from Deluxe Media Recall. Whether you use or own content, accessibility is the key. And that's what this powerful, intelligent search engine is built to deliver. Fast and easy access to the content you need. It'll make your teams more productive. And if you own or archive content, our automated and manual tagging can help reduce costs too. Insight also helps you to be more creative, because it doesn't just surface more relevant content, it also suggests interesting connections too. And if you're a content owner, it'll make your content more readily available, so you can monetize it and improve revenue. So how does it work? Insight is an intelligent, browser-based search engine that integrates seamlessly with your existing systems via APIs. Its single, clear dashboard is easy to use and a pleasure to work with. With direct access to the cloud, you can quickly search a wide range of private and public data feeds, plus the web, news, and social media. You get instant access to your own content too, which it analyzes and indexes to give you and your audience more accurate searches. You can search by video, images, audio, and text. And reviewing content is so easy, you'll quickly find the perfect assets. When you're done, you simply export to industry-standard workflows. Essentially, Insight does all the legwork for you because it looks, listens, and learns, pulling data from multiple sources into one consolidated dashboard. The powerful and intelligent platform analyzes content, frame by frame, allowing the manual enrichment and creation of meaningful metadata. It's this depth of metadata on assets that used to be invisible which makes the difference. When Insight watches content, it detects faces. By analyzing and comparing them, it recognizes people. When it listens to audio content in various languages, it identifies speakers and what they're saying, and converts that speech to text, which becomes searchable metadata. Insight even recognizes logos and adds timecode to the metadata, because once you can identify a logo, it can be monetized. With Insight, your teams can share and collaborate instantly and effectively wherever they are in the world. You can choose a hosted service that you know will be secure and low risk with managed backups and upgrades and no capital expenditure, or you can have it installed and supported on site. Ultimately, Insight is about making content accessible. Its intelligent, dynamic search experience and the rich, meaningful metadata it creates mean that you'll be able to find relevant content faster, wherever it resides. And by saving time, your teams can focus on creativity and better storytelling, even when they're under pressure, while you unlock your assets' hidden potential. Insight from Deluxe Media Recall.
Okay, thanks very much. Pretty much that's what we wanted to talk through. Apologies for the blatant advertising at the very end there, but we are Deluxe, of course. But I think that the point more is how we're actually working in collaboration with Sound and Vision. We're learning from what we're doing with Sound and Vision as much as Sound and Vision are learning. It's about making, from a Deluxe perspective, it's about making a solution that actually works, that actually fixes problems. We think we're progressing very well down the road with Sound and Vision on that. Some of the success that we're seeing around the facial recognition, particularly for the Queen Beatrix and the Royal Dutch family, has been very, very good. So that's really where the focus is of this for us, working very closely with Sound and Vision. Obviously, any questions you've got around this presentation, around what we really do, what additional services we can offer within the archive solutions, metadata solutions, please come outside and just see us from out there. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ricky and Ernst. Are there any questions for Ricky and Ernst? Yes, there is a question.
Thank you very much. For those who don't know me, I'm Brecht de Klerk from FIAT. I have a question. First of all, thank you for a wonderful presentation. I am happy to see that some technologies that we predicted to come in a few years ago actually are making it to the commercial market now. An obvious question, I think you've tried this, you made this proof of concept, if I might call it that way, with 500 hours. The question is, of course, of scalability now. Scalability towards larger quantities of content. Yeah, what will it give?
Yeah, so with regard to scalability, current customers that we're working with in the States are producing in the region of like 100,000 hours of content that they want us to work with. Clearly, we're not going to run 100,000 hours through. Everything is dependent upon size of processors, etc. From a scalability perspective, this content, 500 hours, is without being too sort of obvious about it, is a walk in the park. It's not about the scalability that we've been working with Sound and Vision on. It's about the accuracy of the face rec and actually making sure that we can actually understand when we see a picture of a face on screen, we're actually correct in actually identifying who that person is. So that's really what this proof of concept is about. It's not about the scalability. We've dealt with that already on sort of previous customer side. Hope it answers your question.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? All right, I think we're done. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, the next session is another dual session, and it will be presented by Eva-Lis Green and Irene Tostar. No, only Eva-Lis Green from SVT.
My name is Eva-Lis Green, and I will do the presentation for this new service that we have launched in the Swedish television broadcasting company. And it started with that I couldn't find my PowerPoint and the computer, but Tobias is helping me, so. So, thank you. There it is. I will then start with the first slide. So, let's see. Oh, the end show. Haha. What is happening? So, please. This is what you wish for when you shall start to speak and feel a little nervous. Because I'm a little nervous that I have to do this myself. And it's also, but I was also thinking, why do I feel that I'm a little nervous? And I also found out that this specific project actually meant a lot to me. And it felt so important that I want to share this with you in the right way. And of course, then you get a little nervous. It's the enter. Yeah. Yeah. Now I know how to do. But first, I want to say a little about Sweden, where I come from. It's quite a large country by size, number 5 in Europe, but we have just 9.5 million people living in the country. I come from a public service broadcaster. We have a lot of those in Europe, that is not commercial. The size of the archive, and here I'm pointing out the size of the SVT-owned material. We have other material as well. Around 300,000 hours of video. And we have 80% of that digital or digitally born. But we still have like 15% on analog film and about 5% on tape. So just for you to get an idea of the context. This is the front page from our open archive. It looks like this. And what I could say is that this service it's available from different types of devices, like mobiles, like computer, iPads. It's dynamic, so it works on all interactive devices. This is the top page. And as you see, there we have the highlights that goes around and it changes. Since this is a public service service and a service among other services that we have in the company, we put up like soap operas, and then we try to think, how are the people consuming today? And I can look to myself, to my sons, to my daughter. We go there and look for like 5 episodes at the same time. So we are putting up, we have one soap opera that we are publishing, and we put up like 8 episodes at the time. That is just something to think about. Then, a little further down, you can see what the editorial team is recommending. We also have the user requests, and it's put up there. You can go into the website in different genres, and there are also the news that has come up in the archive. Concerning navigation, there are several ways, and one way is going by title, and it looks like this. Then we have a blog where information is written about something new coming up. There are links to other metadata, and it can be very useful and interesting. But I will give you a little background. SVT Open Archive has been there actually since 2000, but it was a limited service due to rights restrictions. We had around 4,000 clips that we constantly are moving over to this new service as well. But we had a new copyright legislation in 2011, and we have then the possibility to have an archive license agreement with the collecting societies, Copy Swede, IFTA Sami, and those that are working with the music. And that means that we actually can put out content there. We don't have to clear the rights in advance. We can report it to the collective society when it's out there. And it's a huge, huge change. And we also have the in-house production published before 2005. That's part of this archive license agreement. There were some aims and guidelines. It should be a public site, but we have to geo-block it to Sweden, and that has to do with the Swedish Collective Society. They can clear rights for the Swedish society, of course, and the archive license is a Swedish license, so that is the reason. It has to be titled that is published before 2005, in all genres like drama, entertainment, sports, events, documentaries, children's program, and news clips. And then there are some really important things, I think, that why should we do this? This should be a public service of a public service value and interest for as many groups as possible. It has to be a current interest and importance, and we had to respond to the requirements from our audience. There are some other things to be aware of. Since this is a service in our, that is one service, we have different channels, we have streamings, and we have this. So we have to take into consideration the changes in society, the language, and the values of the citizens, like ethical considerations, why we are putting a program up there. And we can't have co-productions and in-house production that contains clips, for instance, from feature films, but because that is not covered in the archive license agreement. We can't have so-called grand rights, opera, ballet performances. Of course, we can negotiate on one single opera or one single ballet, but the archive license agreement doesn't cover that. And all the rights holders can have a veto to say, I do not want to be there. But I can tell you, we started the 16th of April. No one has told us to take anything down. And I would like to give you some statistics. The site was launched the 16th of April this year. At that time, we have 300 titles, about 200 hours of video. Today, we have 2,000 titles and approximately 1,500 hours of video, and the goal is that we will have 10,000 in a 6-year period. And every month, we are publishing another 100 and 150 hours of its high-res video. A quite big group, about 1.5 million people in the age of 20 and 45 without children, are actually using this service. And they stay, and this I think is extremely interesting, they stay approximately 85 minutes every time they are visiting the site. And I talked about seeing all the episodes in a program. And I think this is really interesting, so I have to push the button. And I'll tell you a little more. Twice a year in Sweden, we are conducting a large phone interview with thousands of Swedes. And this was what was found in May, and the service started in April. When we been asking 37%, they said that they knew about the Open Archive. I don't know if you know about Netflix, but 52% knew about that. 15% of the population claimed that they had used the archive at any point this year, compared to the 19% that claims that they have used Netflix. And so the findings is that approximately 5% of our population is using this service, meaning 400,000 people each week. And I think that is extremely good figures. But that's very good. It's been a success, I can tell you. But it was not only to open up. The process to get there was quite long. In the spring 2012, we formed a strategic core group. It was 2 people, me and Irene from the Archives and Rights Departments, 1 person from the SVT Interactive, and there was 1 project manager for the content side and 1 for the infrastructure side. And we could engage other people and specialists when we wanted, like lawyers, marketing people, etc., etc. And there were some questions that we sat down in spring 2012 and said to ourselves, how should the work be organized? What new workflows and tools were needed? What content should be published? What content was digitized and what needed to be digitized? When was subtitling needed? When to launch the service? Quite big questions. But it was decided that the work with the new service should be performed in the existing organization. Research, media management, right control, and reporting was the responsibility for the Archives and Rights Department, 6 persons in total. The editorial work were 2 persons in the interactive department. And a research and rights team and the media management was in place in November 2012, like 6 months or less before the service was launched. But it lasted until the February 2013, until we had the editorial department or team in place. So now I will just show you a little about all the work that was done in the back. There was a decision made very early on that we should use as much as possible from the broadcast publishing workflow, or the workflow that we have also for live stream, video on the web, etc. So I just drew this little picture, that we should have the same planning tool, we should have the same media asset management tool, we should have the same type of delivery control, and the same type of playout. So there were some adjustments that we had to do to this system, but not very much. But still, there were some new tools needed. We had the new website and the streaming process had to be defined and implemented, of course. And very soon we realized that we needed a new workflow tool that we have called Digit, that also has shown to be very useful. And I will talk a little bit more about that. And then I was talking about that we are not, we do not have to clear the rights for every movie that we put up there, but we have to have a very good reporting tool to the collective society. And that had to be built as well on a very short time. So this is in Swedish, and it's very small, but you don't need to understand it. What we did was that we started to draw a very, very deep picture of the process from this is an order, this we want to have on the Open Archive. Then somebody has to do the research. We have to check the rights. We have to check the material. And there and then it has to be processed in our systems. There had to be metadata filled in. There had to be subtitling. It's marketing, a lot of things. So what you can see in this slide, it's the activities on top. Also the metadata in the different phases in the workflow. And you also see all these little men or women that are green and yellow and red. And this tool was extremely useful for us because this service, this Open Archive service, is like opening and starting a complete new TV channel because everything and all the roles has to be in there. So it was extremely useful that we did this very processing work in depth, and that I will use for other projects as well. This is just one little slide from Digit that we call this workflow program. And what you can see there is a little statistics. Like we have the green programs, those that we actually can have on the Open Archive. We have the yellow that we might be able to have sometime. The orange that is stopped of ethical reasons. It's not okay to have naked children running around a singer today. It was in the 70s. We have red, no rights, we will never get it on the Open Archive. And then you can also see where in the process the programs are and how much research is done, where is it on the rights flow. It's very good for everybody working in this process because we can all the time see how much is done on this program. And we can also store the information that we have so we don't have to research it again if it comes up another time. We can also ask tell our end users, no, this program, we couldn't have it on the site because of this and this and this, and we have all the information stored. And you could also see the cycle where you can see that we have a lot of music, a lot of drama, a lot of children's program, a lot of entertainment and sports, and then there are the others like documentaries and news and stuff. The other tool that we had to work with was this reporting tool, and it's called compensation. And there we can search the publishing date on the left side, and we get a report in Excel because that was what the collecting society wanted to have. We are using the information from our central systems that we already have, and that is an advantage. I was telling you that it was meant that we should use the same system for this workflow as we are working with on a daily basis. And of course, it's an advantage that we have all the metadata there. It's just a few metadata that we have to add on all programs that's older than 89, I think it is. But it looks like this. It works. We've sent the first reports. So there are, of course, next steps to be taken. There is still refining and development to do. The website can be extended with more interesting tools like social tagging, etc., etc. We are on Facebook, we are on Twitter, we have mail. But there are more interactivity to be done. The workflow can be optimized even more. And there is enhancement in the area of navigation and tagging. And of course, this is a speech of itself. But there is just one thing that I want you to know in the end. This site got the Swedish Design Prize, the Gold Prize, for Best Editorial Web 2013. So I'm really proud. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions for Eva-Lis? Yes, Jürgen.
Thank you. I very much like the presentation. There's one question on my side. I understood that the offering is very much limited to the Swedish society, I think due to the aim of the Swedish television. Are you considering any positive impact on the wider Swedish SVT offering linear television due to this new offer, or is this? Are there any figures you can share with us that you are expecting any increase of market share, any other positive aspects from the society coming back to you?
I should see if I understood your question correctly. If SVT see that we can take more market shares on the whole market, yes, I think we are doing that. The difficulty in Sweden is that we not always to our owners can have the right to describe the web content at present, but we are working hard on that. But of course, it's a lot of value that we have this service here, and since it's a service amongst others, it's not the marketing of the service is not, look here, our cultural heritage. It's more like, look here, here is a service. We have, don't see Midsummer Murders, see this program instead that is very good. So it's, yes, of course, it's good public value for us.
Okay, thank you, Eva-Lis. Any more questions for Eva-Lis? Yeah, one question here.
Thank you very much, Eva-Lis, and congratulations for winning the prize. I got a question regarding the openness of the platform. Are you also working towards opening it up a bit more, for instance, lobbying to get rid of the geo-blocking, or maybe even allowing part of the open archive to be downloaded and reused in, for instance, Wikipedia?
Yeah, I can try to answer that in different ways. Yes, there is a lot of lobbying going on from the discussions with our collective societies, discussion within the European community, etc. The other way, but the restrictions are there now, and but we are working close with the National Library, for instance. So there is a lot of our content that we know is free, that is on the EU screen, and before in video active. We have a little channel in YouTube, and we are working with the Swedish Film Institute for the filmarchive.se, and there we have some content. So it's and we see it as part of this service as well, to open up the archive. But I think there is a difference between SVT is having a service for this, our audience in Sweden, and we as a cultural heritage archive want to open up the archive. It's two different perspectives, and I think it's very important to be aware of that. You can have a service and you can have a cultural heritage, and this is a service, a public service, broadcasting service as any other channel that we have.
Thank you. All right, I'm just aware that we're getting close to the lunch break. Are there any more questions for Eva-Lis? No? Thank you very much. Thank you, Eva-Lis. The last presentation before lunch is going to be made by Agnieszka Wolak. I hope I pronounced your name correct. Agnieszka is from the Polish National Audiovisual Institute, which is also known as NINA. Please welcome Agnieszka.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much, Hacene. It's a pleasure to be here with you, and I'm very happy that I have an opportunity to present our newest project. It's just the beginning of the far larger involvement of Nina in using musical collection to make them publicly available. Just a few words about what we do. I'm not going to talk about it in detail as last year on the forum of FIAT IFTA. Michał Merczyński, the director of the National Audiovisual Institute, introduced the organization, our role and our mission. Just to remind you, we were making our first steps as the Polish publishing house with a role of reconstruction and publishing the old Polish documentary films and animated films. In 2009, we were transformed by the Minister of Culture and National Heritage into the National Audiovisual Institute with a wide, larger mission of preserving, recording, co-producing, promoting, and making available the Polish Audiovisual Institute with strong focus on culture and education. We are quite young institution, and we think about ourselves. We try to combine the activities of the modern digital archive and the dynamically developing platform for making available the audiovisual archives. What I would like to talk about today is the online music collection of works and of three Polish greatest composers, Witold Lutosławski, Henryk Mikołaj Górecki, and Krzysztof Penderecki. These are the three giants in Polish classical and contemporary music. Henryk Mikołaj Górecki was ranked by the Daily Telegram in 2007 as one of the 32 living geniuses. Witold Lutosławski was honored by many heads of states, by different awards, and his compositions were played in the most prestigious music halls, music and philharmonic halls around the whole world. And Krzysztof Penderecki, who is going to be 80 this year in November, is one of the greatest living Polish performances. The collection of three composers reflects in a perfect way a model of Nina. So it shows. Oh, sorry. It shows how we. It shows how we cooperate with the public broadcasters. It shows how we deal with the IPR, how we acquire content, and how we deal with the metadata and editorial descriptions. The idea of the three composers. Oh, please don't insert the address into the Google search, because this site is going to be launched on the 2nd of December. So our team is still working on this. It took 1 year to prepare and integrate the collection, the whole system, but we are just at the very final days of putting this in the right context. So I will just give you an idea how it will look like. We work extensively with public broadcasters, as we haven't got, we don't own rights to our archives of public broadcasters. We have to negotiate them on the case-to-case basis. With the audio music collection, we worked with the Polish radio. We acquired content which was digitized in-house by the Polish radio. We also had to negotiate the agreements with authors management organizations. The content which is provided in the frame of the multi-annual financing government program aimed at the digital preservation of cultural heritage, Culture 2.0, which Nina operates and is one of the center of the competences. So coming to the three composers collection itself, it contains of 300 audio files, selected pieces in their integrality for streaming. This is very important because there are many platforms where the pieces of music are just fractured and they give a sense of what kind of music it is. You may hear the musical pieces at full length. And the oldest data are from 1924, the youngest, the freshest from 2013. You may see that I said that it's about 300, but it says in the system itself 384 because some of them were songs were combined in the cycles. There are over 950 articles, research and education texts in Polish and in English. So the collection is by